Do you ever just sit there and have entire conversations with yourself in your own mind? Do those conversations spiral into anxious overthinking over things you have done, are doing, and will do? Do the anxious voices you talk to seem to have their own personality and influence to the point you don't know where the voices end and you begin? Just me? Great. Slay the Princess is a visual novel, choose-your-own-adventure type of game, where you are tasked with slaying a princess who is being held prisoner in the basement of a cabin. Your unique choices lead you down many branching paths that are engaging, interesting, and addictive to explore. On these mysterious, existential, sometimes horrific, and other times really sweet paths, you're accompanied by multiple voices in your head that discuss your previous and future choices, influencing and guiding you towards your various destinations. Unsurprisingly, being a game about discovery and exploration, Slay the Princess is best experienced blind. I'm barely going to talk about the game's story in this video, but still, consider this your light spoilers warning. If you have any interest in experiencing this game for yourself, and you should, then go do that before watching this video. The game begins with you approaching the aforementioned cabin while a narrator describes the story to you as it plays out. You quickly discover that you can talk to the narrator, ask them questions, argue, or outright refuse their instructions, much to their frustration. As you make more choices, especially when contradicting the narrator, you begin to hear someone else, the voice of the hero. This is the noble, heroic, good voice in your head who only wants to do the right thing, essentially your conscience. As you have done yourself, the voice of the hero argues or agrees with the narrator, speaks directly to you, and reacts to your choices, providing an extra layer of consideration for all future decisions. For a while, you're alone with the narrator and the voice of the hero, but as the game progresses, depending on your choices and the subsequent situations you create, more voices begin to emerge. Making contradictory choices results in the voice of the contrarian. Slaying the princess, as instructed without hesitation, births the voice of the cold. Succumbing to the princess's innocent beauty and doing all you can to rescue her manifests the voice of the smitten, and so on. These voices function the same as the hero, all arguing with the narrator, you, and each other over what you're doing, what you have done, and what you should do. They offer opinions, suggestions, feelings, demands, and in some extreme cases, take complete control if they disagree with your actions strongly enough. Deep into a playthrough, the amount of voices raving back and forth before you're even given input can be overwhelming. So, if you consider yourself an anxious person, perhaps this all sounds pretty familiar. I personally function like this basically every day. Multiple voices in my head that have developed based on my past experiences and choices. Voices that offer opinions, suggestions, feelings, demands, arguments, disagreements, and in some cases exerting total control, depending on the situation. My contrarian voice emerges when my opinions don't align with the majority, telling me that my elitist tastes make me superior and cooler than everyone else. My smitten voice pipes up when I, on the very rare occasion, let my emotions get the better of me, influencing what I say or do during an argument with a loved one. My broken voice is always quietly there, reminding me of all the terrible things happening in the world that make thinking about the future feel hopeless. We all have this, right? I'm not crazy or insane or in the developing stages of schizophrenia. Do I just overthink this stuff way too much? Or do I only overthink this stuff because my inner voices make me? Which came first? The point is, this constant inner argument, this warring mental dialogue between different aspects of my personality is not fun. I don't like it. It would be nice to have some peace and quiet up here sometimes, aside from when I'm asleep or dead. Sometimes it's difficult to discern who's actually in control. Am I driving the car with a bunch of backseat passengers, or am I just one of many passengers aboard a big crowded bus? Does the vehicle have multiple steering wheels, or are there no steering wheels at all? Now, just to try and not be completely biased towards negativity, having the voices in your head isn't all bad. In Slay the Princess, your many voices can assist with or influence your decision making, in some cases relinquishing all responsibility from you onto themselves, which is nice when making a particularly difficult choice. For as many times as one voice might fiercely disagree with your actions, another will vehemently support what you've done, and it's nice to have some backup when you do something wildly unexpected or cruel. Their presence alleviates some of the loneliness you might have felt without their company throughout your adventure. The main reason for the voice's existence outside of the game world is providing entertainment. All of these benefits also apply to my real-life inner voices, although to a far lesser extent. Even so, it seems like the cons far outweigh the pros. So, okay, sure, having voices sucks, but the problem is I can't just get rid of them. You see, in the game, these voices are essentially separate entities from yourself that have their own entire personalities and consciousnesses. But in real life, the human mind isn't so black and white. My voices are me. We are our voices. When I say voices in my head, I'm really just talking about narrowed down individual aspects of my personality. And putting all those smaller parts together culminates in who I am. My complete personality, the guy sitting here and overthinking and oversharing about how this game affected me. At certain points in the game, when the voices become too much, the player can decide to empty their mind for some much needed quiet. But as a conscious human being, I can't just do that with the click of a button. Even if I could, what would be left? Without my voices, I'm no longer me, because all my voices put together are me. I'm stuck with them, as annoying and overwhelming and exhausting as they might be. And even if there was a way to silence the voices, would that even be good? Is the constant noise really worse than having no noise at all? Well, after some thorough research, there might actually be a solution. Meditation is something I've dabbled in on and off throughout my life, to varying degrees of success and commitment. But for the purposes of this video, just for you, I'll attempt to use meditation to quiet my mind, silence the voices, and exist purely as my own self in the present moment. I'll meditate for however long feels necessary, and I'll see if having the constant interior chatter is really detrimental or beneficial, so stay tuned. Not to ruin the immersion or flow, but I hadn't meditated yet when I wrote this part of the script, and now I have done it, so I'm just going to talk about it right now. I meditated for quite some time, hoping to empty my mind. But it's hard. My thoughts drift, my voices emerge, and I find it difficult to focus on my breath and the present moment. After too long trying unsuccessfully to accept and acknowledge my thoughts, I remembered something I'd actually already established in this video. There is no emptying the mind of the voices, because the voices are me. So I tried something else, something more like what we see in Slay the Princess. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned having imagined conversations with yourself as kind of a joke, but as I sat there meditating with nothing but my unsilenceable thoughts, I concentrated instead on actually conversing with my voices, having an actual exchange, a regular conversation with the parts of my personality that I identified as if they were separate entities, just like in the game. And it was nice. We all have to coexist in here together, so rather than my usual methods of being combative and hostile, I tried coming to a mutual understanding to relieve some of the overwhelming overthinking that plagues my everyday existence. I spoke to my voice of the cold, reminding them that remaining stubbornly unemotional and logical isn't always the best way to solve our problems. I reasoned with my voice of the paranoid, telling them that always assuming the worst pushes us towards indecision, which only results in more catastrophic overthinking. I chatted with my voice of the stubborn, concluding that keeping things the same for the sake of comfort and familiarity might mean things don't get worse, but they also won't ever be able to improve. This experience was definitely worthwhile. Has doing this solved all of my problems? No, of course not. But it feels like a small, beneficial step. So next time I feel mentally overwhelmed, I'll remember Slay the Princess, how it treats the player's inner voices, and how treating mine in a similar fashion might actually help. So with that, if you could relate to anything I talked about in this video, I recommend trying this kind of meditation and commenting down below to let me know how it worked for you. I also recommend playing Slay the Princess, not only for the purposes of this exercise, but also just because it's a great fucking game that drew me in enough to elicit temporary obsession. As usual, thank you for watching. Remember to slay that like button like it's a coldly beautiful princess. Leave a comment from any one of the individual voices in your head, and subscribe to witness more of my video game driven therapy. Bye bye.